Hi everyone, I'm immigration attorney Ali Chavez Subhan, and today I'm here with Mila de Olano, head of Latin American markets for EB5 Affiliate Network. Pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how did you get started in the EB5 space?
Of course. Well, first of all, I'm an immigrant myself. I am from Brazil, but I live here in the United States for about almost 20 years. And since being for that same background, immigration for me was always a passion, right? So I got into the EB5 space about 5 years ago. I started up working with a little boutique banking firm that will have different opportunities with different regional centers or different projects, different funding options for immigrants that were looking for the green card through investment. And with that, one of the projects that we had in our portfolio was EB5AN. And I always love how dynamic, how on top of everything EB5AN always is. And well, here I am today.
So tell me a little bit about, for those viewers that don't know, what is the EB5 Immigrant Investor Visa Program?
So, of course, what is the EB5 program, right? I always present it to my clients as the red carpet on all visas on the way to your green card, right? You just need investment, and you need that investment to be made in a project that is sponsored by a designated regional center, and that project needs to generate jobs, right? So basically, you have to have the financial muscle to have $800,000, put it aside for about 5 to 7 years, that money makes impact in the American economy, and in exchange, you get your green card.
So you mentioned about a regional center. Can you tell us what is a regional center?
Okay, a regional center in a nutshell is an entity approved by the USCIS to receive funds for an immigrant investor that is looking for the green card by investment. Mhm. And in the EB5, as everybody knows, has the two requirements, right? That's the investment that usually is $800,000 in designated areas has rural, high unemployment, or infrastructure. And if it's outside of these three areas, in is 1,050,000, right? And another required is that investment generates at least 10 jobs per invest in that fund for 2 years.
And what would you say that a immigrant investor should be looking for when they're looking to invest with a regional center?
Of course, first of all, you have to look into what is the track record of that regional center, right? How long have the regional center been in this space? How successful it has been, right? How many funds that they're completed, right? How many funds they're repaid? How strong and how successful are the developers they work with, right? Because as now most of the regional centers, right? Some of them they are the developers and the regional center, or say they have the license to be a designated regional center, but in our case, the B5AN is very different because we are not the developer. Okay, what does that mean, Ali? Is that we can select, very, 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 very specifically the projects we sponsor, right? Because we have our own requirements. We wanted to work with developers that are well capitalized, with the developers that have a strong reputation in the real estate space, for example, right? You want to make sure that the developer we are working with always pays the funds, always finish the construction. It has a commitment with the project to be constructed, to be finalized, because on that depends the creation of the jobs of our clients, right? So the difference working with a regional center like us is that our interest, our first interest, is not only the development itself. Of course it is, but it's also watching over our investors. Where are they putting their money, right? And we know in peace that that project is already good enough because we did our due diligence first. We know the developer, we know their track record, and we know our investor is going to be safe.
That's why we enjoy working with you guys, because you have such a good track record. You
Mhm.
return investors' capital, and then those investors receive their green card. So tell me a little bit about the project that you guys have right now, since we're currently in Tampa, and about the One Tampa project.
Yeah. One Tampa right now is the best, in my opinion, because the construction is already started, right? And also the One Tampa is being built by a very big developer that's called Coulter. Okay. EB5AN was founded in 2013, right? Right now we have about 11 years in the EB5 market, and most of our projects have been done with Coulter Coulter is a private developer, very big, very well established in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, in Florida, right? Coulter is one of the developers for us that can give it to our clients what they're looking, the peace of mind that my project is well capitalized, that my project is already construction, and that I have some guarantees in there, that the developer itself guarantee me that that project is going to be finalized, that the construction is going to be done. That means that all my jobs are going to be created. That's crucial for any EB-5 petition, right? My jobs need to be created. Not only the money being a beautiful, shiny project, but also that the project is capitalized enough. The construction is done, right? And I have my jobs created. In Coulter, also, they guarantee the reimbursement of my money, by a parent company. So it's very interesting to work with developers that have a track record, not only in small projects, in small individual EB-5 projects, but working with a developer like Coulter that has done already over 14 funds with us. All of them are the 100% success. With them, we have helped almost over 2,000 families only in the Coulter funds. And so far, we have been very successful with it.
Yes, Coulter, I know they've done, I think, over $15 billion worth of projects here in the state of
Yes.
Florida alone. And, those reassurances that they give to investors,
Yeah.
I think is very important. How do you think those reassurances that they're giving to investors helps mitigate risk and makes investors feel more comfortable investing in a project like One Tampa?
Of course, of course. Like you have to always look, and when you're doing that D5, you have always to look with the two eyes, right? The immigration side and the financial side. The immigration side, like that, what Coulter gives you is to give it the guarantee that it's going to be built. The immigration side, you have to make sure that those jobs are going to be created. And most of the jobs are created in the construction period, right? So that it was like, okay, is the piece that my immigration side is very safe, right? And one thing, but financially is like, okay, how well capitalized it is. What is the track record and the developer in this area building developments like this? And talk about it specifically One Tampa. One Tampa is a copy paste of Saltaire. Saltaire is a very successful EB5 project that we raised funds 2 years ago, and then I personally have a few investors in there. So it was 100% success, very well capitalized, completely sold, and then One Tampa is not behind. Because right now the vertical construction just started, but over 40% of all the apartment units are already pre-sold. And that for as an investor, when you look into it, I was like, okay, this building is going to be sold in no time. This is capitalized enough that I know this building is not only going to being built, but it's going to be strong enough, it's going to be capitalized enough that I get my money back in 3 to 4 years, right? An EB5 is much more than just looking at today. You have to look at yesterday and you have to look at it tomorrow. You have to look at what this developer has done in EB5 before this project. And what is this developer promised to do in the future? What are my guarantees? What is the track record? What is the balance sheet? I mean, show me the numbers. Are you really selling? Do you really have this equity in here? Do you really have these guarantees, right? And Coulter is open, right? Like that's another thing I really like about EB5 and Ali is that we are open book. You want to see our balance sheet? Of course, you want to see any documents that prove any license, any records? Of course, because we want to make sure that the investor makes the right decision for their family, but with the peace of mind that they have all the information. In One Tampa right now, they already started the vertical construction, right? Like what you saw today, Ali, in January is going to be completely different. Once they grab the vertical constructions, the jobs create really quickly. For right now, for example, in One Tampa has been spent over $40 million, right? In One Tampa, our EB5 fund is $80 million, right? For 100 investors. And as for you to prove that your jobs were created, the EB5 funds has to be spent in the project. So we are halfway there.
Yeah, I think like you mentioned, so transparency is very important. Investors being able to see the numbers. And I think another thing is like investors ask us all the time is about source of funds, because once you find a project, but actually working with the immigration attorney to show a source of funds, can you tell me how important that is for an investor?
Source of funds, I think, is the most important thing after the project, okay? Why? Because if you're already working with a regional center like us, that's already designated by the USCIS, that your project already is approved by the USCIS. For example, one already has the I-956F approved, right? So you're checking all the boxes. What else is missing? The source of funds, okay? And most of the denials in the EB-5 space comes for the source of fund not being done correctly, or because the investor wasn't clear or honest, or just because the attorney who did the documentation didn't have the experience, right? Source of funds is a very complicated document, right? Could be easier if you have the experience, because it's basically, I tell my investors, you're telling a story to the immigrant, to that official, in USCIS. How did my money got here? Okay, but he doesn't want to only hear the story; he wants to see it. That story cannot have any holes. So first thing, when you sit with an attorney, you have to determine where my funds are going to come from. What is the easiest source of fund that I can show the official? Look, it came from a property that my grandmother gave it to me 10 years ago. And that property, my grandmother bought it 30 years ago. And she bought it with this money and this document. And here's the deeds. Okay, let's go all the way back, right? Can I prove that? Awesome. That's going to be your source of funds. And the moment that you have the source of funds, the story telling done and ready, then you have to do the translation, right? It needs to be in English as well. Not only telling the story on your language, but also in English. The official needs to understand it, right? So that I always start with select your immigration attorney well. Select an immigration attorney that has an experience like yourself with EB-5 visas, with immigrant visas, with business visas, because they know what to look for when preparing these documents. It's crucial for your approval.
So what are some other things that investors should be looking at? For example, pre-immigration planning, tax planning. I know you said, of course, picking a good immigration attorney to work with for the source of funds, but what about other things that clients should be thinking about prior to investing in a regional center?
I think before you actually think about the EB-5, that very first meeting with the immigration attorney is going to determine if the EB-5 is for you. I think that's the very first step, right? Because when you talk to your client, it was like, okay, I'll be happy to have you my fund, but are you sure the EB-5 is for you? I can tell you that the immigration attorney can, right? Because the United States has this beauty that you have visas from A to Z, and every visa has an intention, right? What is my intention? Do I really want to live in the United States? Do I understand the requirements of this visa? Am I looking for the benefits for me or only for my kids? And that will help you choose the right visa, right? For you, for your family, or for your kids. And sometimes what my neighbor did is not what I need, or my mom or my cousin. Every family has their own path, that immigration path that you determined in that first meeting with the immigration attorney, right? So then I tell my clients, you haven't sit with your immigration attorney yet? Okay, that's your first step. And once you determine that EB-5 is for you, okay, let's talk, right? And then, okay, EB-5, what is EB-5? It's an immigrant visa. You're going to get a green card, okay? The green card have benefits, but also has requirements. It has requirements that you live in the United States. I mean, that your address is here, that your car is here, that your job is here, that your school is here, that your dog is here. So this is your residence. This is your home, right? Because there is no point for you to get a residency if you don't have the meanings of living in the United States. So that's the first thing. So living in the United States have the requirements, right? The time of the year, how long I need to be here, and have the taxes, right? People think about, oh my God, now I have to pay taxes twice. No. Okay, that's where the tax attorney comes into play. Okay, there is the immigration attorney to do all my immigration paperwork, all my petition, all the decision on my route to live in the United States. But the taxes come along. Unfortunately, taxes go with you, and no matter what country you go to. So you have to plan accordingly, right? What does it mean for me? What are the mechanisms the U.S. offer to my country, to Colombia, to Chile, to Brazil, to Mexico, right, to reimburse or to only pay the difference? There are ways. There are some conveniences, right? There are some treaties between countries, but you have to work with a tax attorney that knows it, that knows the law from your country, that knows the law from United States. And then you can build your tax planning, okay? Your immigration planning and your tax planning should go together, right? Because as you know, when you do the EB-5 and you decided to do the EB-5, you don't get your green card right away, right? So you send your petition and you have a window of 9 to 12 months if you're in a rural project, or 18 to 24 months if you're in an urban project, to prepare yourself to come to the United States. So we say, okay, this is the time that you need to prepare yourself tax-wise. Am I going to leave my country completely? Am I going to keep my business, right? Am I going to sell everything? Or how can I help? What are the mechanisms that exist that I can mitigate my tax that could be heavy or could be easy, right? And with that too, I always tell the investors, talk to the attorney, the immigration attorney, for immigration strategies, right? Alongside with tax strategies. For example, if I own a company in Brazil, right? And it's doing really well, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to leave my country completely, or I'm not sure I want to pay all these taxes, and this company is doing so well. But my son and my wife really want to live in the United States. I want my son to go to high school there. I want my daughter to go to college in the United States. I wanted them to take advantage of the education there. And but I'm not ready for it. So then you sit with the attorney and says, okay, I'm not doing it, but I'm donating my investment to my wife. So my wife can do it. So there are ways to do it. It's different for everyone. That's where it comes to sit down with the attorney first and then do your tax planning alongside the way.
I agree totally. So you have to have a comprehensive plan, pre-immigration planning, tax planning, and then make a well-informed decision.
Yes.
You're also talking about a little bit about the timelines for the EB-5 visa. Can you share with us a little bit more about the timeline?
Of course. Okay, it's very interesting. I think also it will depend, it goes attached to your planning, right? Do I plan to stay in my country, or do I plan to apply to EB5 already in the United States? Am I already in the United States with a non-immigrant visa and I just want to do the adjustment in status and stay? Or I want to be in my country, and do my petition in my country and wait for the consular process to take place, right? That will take, because what is the difference here? With the new rules right now, you can stay in the United States, right? Adjust your status, and a few months later, you can get a job permit, you can get a travel permit, and you can stay in the United States waiting for the approval of your green card, right? That's the route for the people that's already here on a F1 visa, E2 visa, L1 visa, right? So that's a very good route, because you don't depend on your visa anymore and you can wait for your green card, right? So that's awesome. But most of the people, especially in Colombia, they do the consular processing. How does that work? Okay, if you do the petition, right, through one, that's a urban project, right, a high unemployment project, it will take you approximately 18 to 24 months to get a first approval. Okay, but that first approval, the 526 approval, is not your green card yet. Okay, you're gonna get approved, but then you're gonna get a letter for you to do your biometrics, right? And that letter is going to take you about 3 months. So let's say in 2 years, you have your green card in hands and you move into the United States, okay? That is the pre-immigration process that we talk about it. That's where you do your tax planning that we talk about it, right? And if in the middle of the way you say, you know what, I don't want to wait 2 years, talk to your immigration attorney and discuss adjustment of status. Is not for everyone, but it's an option, right? So you get that green card in approximately 2 years in an urban project. In rural projects, there are areas with less than 20,000 people, right? You can get the approval a little bit quicker because it's a priority processing in rural areas. That could be 9 to 12 months as well. But let's just stick to one. So you got that green card in 2 years. You move to the United States. The first green card is a conditional green card, right? The conditional green card is going to be for 2 years, okay? So those 2 years, what's going on, right? You gotta wait a year. You have your green card, but it's conditioned to what? That your money was invested in the project that you selected, and that investment did generate those 10 American jobs. It's very important, right? The beauty of the EB-5 is that it make that impact, in the American economy. We take the money, we borrow the money for the investor, right? We put it in the American project right here. We generated American jobs. In exchange, you get a green card, right? It's like you loaning me the money, right? 2 years, you say check, and then you generate the jobs. The project is still in good standing, and then the regional center is going to send a letter to the attorney saying, it's like, you know what? He's still in the project, the jobs were created, and then you do the removal of the conditions, right? After the conditions are removed, your green card is forever. You just have to renew it every 10 years. As long as you don't commit any federal crime or anything, you can renew that green card every 10 years, okay? But most of the EB5 investors, they're in it because they want the American passport. When can you do that, right? So you have the 2 years of the conditional green card plus the 3 years of the permanent green card, 5 years total, okay? That's when you can apply for the passport or the process of naturalization, right? That's what I did. Not with the EB5, but I did become an American citizen through naturalization after 5 years with my green card, right? So most of the families, that's what they do. What is important to understand here, Ali, is people understand that EB5 is an immigrant visa, is a resident visa, and 5 years is important that every year you have to prove that you actually lived here for over half of those 5 years, and then you get your passport and welcome to the United States. And then you can vote.
Yeah, like you were saying, the EB-5 Immigrant Investor Visa Program is a pathway to citizenship.
Yeah.
First you have to go through permanent residency, getting your green card, and then after a period of time, you can apply for citizenship. So in your experience, what do families tell you that the reasoning of why they pursue the EB-5 Immigrant Investor Visa Program?
Especially in Latin America, they look for it for education, right? For access to that my kid wants to go to university here, right? Most of the the Latin Americans are looking to give their kids, the benefits of the green card. Accessibility to good universities. You can have also all the scholarships that maybe if you're an international student, you cannot have. Or if your kid is already here and is in university, when you have the green card, right, the workspace opens up for you. You're not limited anymore to that sponsorship or to that OPT. You can work anywhere full time. You can start building your life, as a resident. When you get the green card, you have all the benefits of, living in the United States. As any citizen in the United States, you just don't vote, right? You have accessibility to education, health, everything any American can have access to. You as a resident, you have it as well, as a green card holder. And then that's one of the big reasons why I see Latin Americans doing the EB-5s for their kids, for education, right? And the other reason is for safety. I think, unfortunately, even though I'm from Brazil and I love my country, but safety is not what really, is not the first thing you think about it when you say Brazil is safe, or other countries like Peru or Ecuador. Families are looking for safety, And also there is the political point of view. For example, now Mexico, like with the recent elections, people don't know what's going to happen. They say, like, you know what? I wasn't considering leaving the United States, but I need a plan B. I need a plan B. If anything happens, I have a plan B. I can get out of the country. I can, move out of here and not be strained if anything happens. So just to put it all together is for education, for safety, and also for political reasons. The people just want to protect, their net worth as well. Because unfortunately what we see in Mexico is what started to happen in Venezuela. So people are scared. So it was like, wow, since I have to take my capital out of my country, let's make it a good use. So they choose the EB-5 program. As a plan B, it has protecting their wealth. Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yeah, those are the three most common that we hear too: is education, security, and additional freedoms.
Yes.
So, Mila, for the people out there that would like to get a hold of you and invest in a regional center or in one of the EB-5 projects, how can they get a hold of you?
You can email me, you can WhatsApp me. I'm always happy to help. And all the information that we shared over here, please go to our website and take a look. I think education is the number one priority in the EB-5 investors, right? To understand what I'm getting into, right? Choosing the right attorney. Ali is awesome. And then working with regional center like ourselves. I'm here to help. Thank you.
And all of Mila's contact information can be found in the description below.